What's going on, people? Welcome back to AFTV. You've joined us for the big preview of Real Madrid versus Arsenal in the second leg of the Champions League, an 8 p.m. kickoff this Wednesday. And before we get into this preview, shout out to Match Bingo for sponsoring today's video. Football matches can be stressful, I understand. But now with Match Bingo, you can make every moment count and still win, even if your team doesn't. It's bingo, but instead of numbers, you track real events, goals, yellow cards, free kicks, and more. Here's how it works. You get a card that shows 15 random in-game events which are marked off in real time as the action on the pitch unfolds. Complete a row, two, or a full card and you can win. Tickets cost £2 and you can win anywhere from £10 to £10,000. With our game against Real Madrid on Wednesday, Match Bingo is hosting a live feature game for it, and we're all playing on the day too. Let's see who can win bingo on their card first. So, join us, scan the QR code, click the link in the description below to download the app and get started with this new form of sports betting. New players who deposit £10 also receive a £20 bonus. The Match Bingo app is available on both Apple and Android. Buy your card before the match starts so you can sit back and watch the action while your cards fill up on their own. Remember, you must be 18 or over and a UK resident, and please, please, please gamble responsibly. It's real, people, Real Madrid. Yes, I did the same intro last week, but it worked so well, it was so nice, I had to do it twice. Just ask Rice. Come on, baby!
Welcome to the previews down there. Shambles when Cecil runs them.
Listen, I've done a couple with these. He's getting better. I'll say that.
Yeah.
He started off a little bit rusty, but now you're growing into it a bit. I mean, there's a long way to go still. So
Yeah.
But, you know, it's getting better, bro.
Yeah. What phase of his process are you in? This is at best phase one.
Rhyming poetry phase 2.5, baby?
Yeah.
We're getting there,
phase
building.
one, he's not had a summer window yet, all that. No backing from the owners.
Just buy a dog, man. You'll be all right.
Yeah, that's it. Actually, that's part of it,
That's
isn't
not a bad
it?
idea, actually. But listen, it is Real Madrid. It was so nice that Rice hit it twice, made it 2-0 at the time. Obviously, we ended up beating them 3-0. This is the second leg at Real Madrid. I want to start, actually, boys, with this stat that, I think everyone kind of knows it, but I love reading it. Arsenal remain unbeaten against Real Madrid in European competition, 1-2 and drawn 1, and haven't conceded a single goal across their 3 meetings. Gunners could become the first ever side to keep 4 consecutive clean sheets against Los Blancos in the European Cup / UEFA Champions League. We're unbeaten against Real Madrid. I mean, stats are stats. It may not mean anything when it comes to going to the Bernabeu this time on Wednesday, because, you know, will they score? Who knows? But what I do know is the Ultras are planning a big entrance for the players. They've been told that they're closing the lid on the stadium to keep the atmosphere in. Someone put an amazing comment on Twitter saying Rice is better cooked with the lid on. Fantastic.
That is good.
That is good, man.
It's good, isn't it?
Yeah.
But they're trying everything to claw back that 3-0 deficit. Boys, we're going to start firstly with your feelings. I'll start with you, Dan, as you're the guest on this preview. How are you feeling ahead of this game? Are you feeling confident? Are you excited for this? What are your thoughts around this second leg?
Well, it's hard not to be quietly confident. I'm still buzzing from the other night, man. I mean, that for me is the best game I've had at the Emirates.
Yeah.
And since we moved here by far, I think when you look at why we were here and what we were supposed to be doing in terms of the competition and the Champions League and nights like this is what we were all kind of hopefully looking forward to getting used to. And it's been so long now since we've had nights like that consistently. You go back to the Arshavin moment against Barcelona, but I think this one trumps that, if I'm honest with you.
Wow.
Because
I think so
even
too.
2-1, if I'm honest, I didn't have the confidence that we were going to go through the second leg with a Pep side that's probably one of the best we've seen. Now I'm quietly confident with that third goal from Marino, which hasn't been spoken about enough, by the way, because of the 2 free kicks from Rice. How important is that Marino goal? What a finish that was, by the way. I think, you know, if you look at what he's done and, 6 goals in 10, if he would have bought that as a January striker, he would have gone, that's a good signing.
Yeah,
so, credit to him. But how I'm feeling going into this one is, after the first 10 minutes, I would love to have a chat with you guys, because I would need to know after that 10 minutes, if we've conceded, I will get a bit squeaky bum time. Because this is the Bernabeu, bro. This is Real Madrid. So I'm quietly confident because of the first leg. And I hope the boys know what they're doing for the second one, man.
Okay, James, let me switch the play to you and ask the same what Dan just said there, because every Arsenal fan I spoke to said, yeah, I'm confident, but if they score early, everyone's emotions will be on the line, and I think that makes a good point. I mean, if you look at Real Madrid as well, recently they won their last game, which was yesterday, 1-0, but they looked a bit ropey. Mbappe getting a red card. The 2 before they've lost, obviously us and the 2-1 loss that they had before us. Are you in the same as Danny? Are you confident? But are you saying, listen, I just hope they don't score? Will you know everything by the first 10, 15 minutes?
No. because I've seen them just out the game, with 20 minutes to go, and they've managed to find goals in them. I think I said something for Arsenal that might not make a lot of sense, but I think if we'd won this game 2-1, I'd be almost more confident of not conceding 3. I think it's almost the fact that they need to score 3. It kind of ramps up that's the assignment.
Well,
so that's the target.
4, though.
So,
I mean,
absolutely, but they're out if they don't score 3 minimum, and obviously they can't let any in. So I sort of think that being the assignment, they'll know what they have to do, but also Arsenal know what they have to protect. And I've got to say, as much as people like to say the worst thing you can do is park the bus, you need to go and play, and you've got to be a threat. Okay, cool, but what if you try play, you lose the ball, they score? All of a sudden you are just dropping into that shape, because it's like, okay, that's 33% of our lead sort of just cut just like that. And, I don't know, I think Arsenal will try and get through the first 10, 20 minutes sensibly. And I think that's probably the right thing to do. Even if we don't ask a question of Courtois, just don't concede that first 10, 20. And easier said than done. I just think that is to be so tempting in their minds to go, we have a 3-goal deficit. Why wouldn't we? Sorry, a 3-goal set plus lead, whatever. Why wouldn't we play to protect that?
Well, that was gonna be my next choice. I was gonna bring it over to you, James, at some point as well, about how do we approach this game. But I'll bring it to you, Dan. I think that, there's a school of thought of sit back and defend. But my thing is, I played in teams where you're continuously knocking on the door. Eventually, it will open. I mean, Arsenal might be thinking, well, as long as we hold them out for a majority of the game, we can get through. But I worry about that. I don't know how you think Arsenal should approach this game. Should they try and stay balanced and maybe try and get a counter, or is it just literally put every man behind the ball, stick Mikel Arteta and the goal and the set piece coach in the top corners and stuff like? What are you saying? Are you saying build a wall in front of goal, or do you want a team to be confident going into this game and try and just go play a game like you've done it here at the Emirates? Like you've already beaten them. You made them look average even before we scored. We was dominant. So take that belief and go into this game and do that again. Where are you at?
I'm with you. I don't think we should be fearing going to this place.
Right.
Because as much as it is nervy and as much as we got to put an unbelievable amount of respect on Real Madrid, they probably believe they're out in terms of the fans that go there. The players won't believe that, and Carlo Ancelotti won't. They've done amazing things. They stink their way through this competition. That's why they've won it 15 times. They probably haven't deserved to win it, the whole of them 15 times, but the majority of the time, they've found a way to get through it. Even in the new group stage in this format, they weren't great, but they found a way. And then they got Man City and they found a way. So I think that they will always believe that they can. What we need to do is have confidence on our own team, because we've delivered out here at the Emirates. I think if we park the bus and we allow them to have the ball, I think we're just inviting them to score as many as they want, personally. So I think we have to do a little bit of both, remain balanced. And if we can get through for the first 10, 15 minutes and try and settle some nerves, which I'm sure there will be, I fancy us and I'm quietly confident. And just lastly, the last time we conceded 3 goals, do you know when it was?
So Luton
In 2023. Yeah. So you look now and you think, there's no reason why we should feel like we're going to go and crumble and allow 4 or 5 goals to go in. So we've got to remember what the task is. We score, I think we'll know that we can start to relax a little bit. But we've got to do the job, man. We've got to do the job.
Huge.
Mate, if we score,
the goal is huge, because that means they need 5 to go through. And 4 at least takes it depends. But I mean,
that'd be huge.
A goal out of there would be massive. I just feel that that's going to have to come from a little bit of individual quality, because Arsenal are good. We've seen it at the Etihad most recently, the 2-2 draw we saw at Anfield before Christmas 2023. Arsenal are good at being under the cosh at these away grounds and then wrestling back a little bit of control, actually. I remember that game at Anfield, up to the 60th minute, I thought we were really struggling. And then actually last half, I thought we looked the better team. Again, I repeated stuff said forever Arsenal. Same with the Etihad. We'll go 1-0 down after 6 minutes to Haaland. I just thought we regrouped really, really well in that game. So I think we will have a moment of possession. I just think we just want to keep the scoreline, at level to that point where we then start to grow that confidence and play.
I think as well, this is another thing when it comes to just putting everyone behind the ball and defending. Real Madrid probably are used to that when they play against teams. So, and if you're used to playing against that, then I worry for Arsenal that we might not be able to shut them out for that game. So
apparently they're not good at that. So
okay.
Nick J. Francis on Tactical Insight, we've done 2 now, looking ahead at both games. He actually said before the game here, he said they struggle against a low block. And I haven't looked into those numbers myself. I don't know exactly what teams those are up against. I trust Nick's opinion massively. That is something that actually, because it kind of makes sense. As much as they got finishers, listen, Vinicius, Mbappe and Rodrigo, not just finishers, right? They're class wingers, they're class forwards. But actually, they're not blessed with 10s across the pitch. Bellingham I wouldn't call a 10, though he's obviously got a lot of craft and creativity. Modric isn't still a fantastic player, not who he was at even 35, let alone was he now 39. Goulet doesn't start. Diaz, I don't think starts. So they have a kind of natural 10s that might pick a lock.
Yeah.
So that is another reason why maybe just keeping it tight at first before we do what Dan said, which is start to play. Don't invite them on too much. I just wanted to cut you there because
No, I appreciate
that was some
I-
interesting
I
stuff from
appreciate
Nick
that.
I didn't really know about.
I actually really appreciate that because I was going to say, they're probably used to that, so they probably know how to break that down. However, we get low blocks every week and we still struggle to break
Yeah.
it down. So it probably
And they do have class on the pitch.
Yeah.
So they can't do something about it, right?
That's
They
true.
can.
I think it might help that they've got to score. Like James was saying earlier, if it was 2-1, you think they don't really have to yet. They've got to, they can get the goal, but it's not like they have to actually blitz us. They've got to come and blitz us, and maybe that's more dangerous. Maybe it's nicer for us because it's quite hard for us to do. But for me, if we keep it tight and we're resolute like we have been, one thing that you can say about this Arsenal side is actually defensively it's been fairly compact and fairly consistent. So let's hope that continues, man.
Yeah, I just hope the team, they're not going to be naive in the sense that, because you're right, I think Real Madrid have to open up and go for it. And we can, if we get that first goal, huge. So, and it's possible, it's definitely possible. They should believe after what they've seen here at the Emirates, they played against Real Madrid. Granted, it's at the Bernabeu. That's what I said about naivety. It will be different, but it's not too far from, I think, their imagination of they can go on and play against Real Madrid, can go on and score at the Bernabeu. It's not impossible. So I want belief from that. In that.
You can lose to a Real Madrid side because they are class, right?
Yeah.
But I think if we lose because of things like naivety, lack of concentration, look, I actually think as fans in the last few weeks, because of Real Madrid and everything, we've been very forgiving of what's been shambolic Premier League form. And actually, Everton, I don't think it was a penalty, but we weren't really focused that second half. Trying to see out the win here against Brentford, we didn't look that focused. We run a lot, we try. I never questioned the physical effort, but mentally you can ask some questions about Arsenal this season. We're asking them to focus once every 2 weeks for the Champions League. I'll be really disappointed if Mbappe and Vinicius do crazy things, even from 3-0 up. I'll be gutted, but they are the Galacticos. They are these players who cost all this money and have these wages for a reason. We're talking about Mbappe, what he's done in World Cup stage. Vinicius, should have been Ballon d'Or winner according to a lot of people. You can lose to quality. And by the way, from 3-0 up, I still think that would be pretty unacceptable.
Yeah.
But I'm talking about the nature of it being naivety, lack of concentration, sloppiness. That'll really disappoint me. You've got to concentrate for one game a week at the moment. Even then, it's not even really one game a week. But big task. I'm not saying it's not, but I'd just be really annoyed if those are the things we're talking about full time.
Okay, right, let me ask you some questions just to get the full context of everything first. If Real Madrid, this is a Real Madrid one for the fans listening, who might enjoy this. If they do come back, claw it back and knock us out, is that the greatest Champions League comeback?
No.
'Cause that Liverpool one is crazy. I think
Yeah,
with
that's the
Barca-
one for me.
Yeah.
Liverpool, I think so. Yeah, if I'm honest. I'll be devastated if they do that, if I'm honest with you. And I think if I'm honest with you, when I look at the mentality, we're wanting to try and install winning mentality in this Arsenal side, and we haven't been able to do that over the last few years. What I want to see is strong mentality, though, at the moment, because we can't win if we win this game. We're not going to lift any trophy. We've still got a long way to go for that to happen. But I look at the times we have needed strong mentality this season, even Newcastle, we just crumbled home and away. And that was in a League Cup, semi-final. Obviously, Manchester United here, how did we lose to them? I mean, they've been absolutely dreadful. We lost to them on penalties, missed the penalty, weak mentality. I want to see a strong mentality. You can't really pick a harder ground and a harder team to play against at the moment. This is going to be a massive test for us. We get through anyhow, even if we have to stink our way through and we lose 2-0, it's going to be horrible. But if we hang on and we go through, job done, man. That's what we've got to look at it. Got to get through.
I hate saying this because it's about them over there.
Yeah.
But that Ajax turnaround for Tottenham in the semi-finals, that might be one of the greatest comebacks in Champions League history.
Lucas Moura,
Away from home, 3-0 on aggregate.
Oh, that one, I
Three
forgot
with
that one,
15, 20. Look, they didn't win it, so I can actually. So I don't even mind talking about it because they went on to not win it.
Of our life, I think, wasn't it?
Really. It led to the worst weeks, which is like, you mean the final, right?
No,
When
the
they got
final. 1 minute in, we can relax. That was all
Come
it
on,
was.
Liverpool.
Build up.
All right, great. Yeah, you're right. But those weeks leading up to it, do you remember all the debates? Would you sacrifice the Europa League if it meant they don't win the Champions League? Yes, I would.
I hated all them questions, though, man.
I know, it's
awful.
tough. It's tough because you're thinking about them, but you're right, that was a good
Would you take the Champions League now if it meant they won the Europa League?
Yeah,
Yeah.
just take the trophy.
Obviously.
Yeah, of course.
100%.
I don't care about them. They're irrelevant.
Yeah,
man.
exactly.
Don't
Just
worry about us.
enjoy it. We're going to have our...
Yeah,
it's all
yeah.
good.
Facts, and obviously
There we
there
go.
was a
Let's
bar-
make a deal with them over that.
There was a big moment on DR, actually, funny enough, they said about if Abby was saying, "Oh, if you lot win it, I actually have to leave the country for good and whatnot." But I was like, "You think if we win the Champions League, I'm not coming to Tottenham fans to talk. I'm not thinking about you lot. I'm enjoying that.
Let them do what they want,
Yeah,
man.
you
Yeah.
lot are not in my thought process at all. I'll be enjoying celebrating. I don't care about you lot down the road because
They care about us more than we care about them.
Exactly
That's
that.
what it is, man.
Exactly that. From them, Real Madrid potentially having a massive comeback and making it one of the biggest in Champions League. To overconfidence in. Who would you want or prefer in the next round? And
Sorry,
why?
I just thought of another great comeback. Barca PSG.
Yeah, that's probably the one I
Yeah.
did think of.
Oh my word.
But I just think
I like
that because of the
that was-
context
that
of the
Liverpool
Liverpool
one was
final,
crazy.
doing it in a final,
Yeah,
I think you've
crazy.
got to be giving
Well,
it to
the
Liverpool.
AC
But
Milan
the
one.
PSG,
Sorry, I'm
Barcelona
completely.
one.
This is a
Yeah,
great
yeah,
conversation.
Of course.
Because I was in Italy and I was watching it with a Madrid fan, so he just hates Barcelona.
Yeah.
And I mean, what PSG were 4-0
It was
up.
Emery, wasn't it?
Yeah. So it was 4-0, and I think Barca pulled it back to 3-0 on the day, so 4-3. Then PSG scored. So remember the away goal. So they were basically as good as 2 goals up again, and then 3 goals in 4 minutes into added.
Insane.
Oh,
Yeah,
let's
that
do that. Okay,
that is
probably-
the greatest
that probably
comeback.
tops it.
That's
Yeah.
the greatest comeback.
Unbelievable.
Well, that's-
Sorry,
that's-
my brain's now just.
No
yeah.
worries. That's for you lot in the comments. You lot in the comments as well. Do you agree with that one, or is there other ones that come to mind?
Well, we don't want to see any more. No
Yeah,
more
no more.
comebacks. We don't need we don't. No
No,
more
that's
comebacks.
why
We
we're
don't.
going from comebacks
Yeah,
to the next round. Overconfidence. Who would you prefer to see, PSG or Aston Villa, and why?
I thought you were going to say we're going to go from comebacks to the greatest, seeing the job out, stinking the place out, and that goes to Mourinho and Inter Milan, by the way,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
the new
yeah.
camp.
Fair.
Or Chelsea. God, the Champions League thrown some moments. What was your question?
Who would you prefer to see in the next round? So granted, if we get there, I'm not going to say it's already done because it's again Bernabeu 3-0 up. It's going to be difficult. But is it PSG or Aston Villa for you?
Look, let's get there first. Secondly, I think PSG are technically sensational. I think they're a great team. I think them and Barcelona are the 2 best teams left in it.
Where was
I think-
that when they played us here? Because they're
Well,
a shadow
I
of
think
what-
they started with Lee Kang-in up front. I don't think Kvaratskhelia hadn't
Kvaratskhelia,
arrived. I
yeah,
don't think
yeah.
Dembele played that game. Neves was new, so I think they were sort of still getting to grips with everything. Luis Enrique is a top manager, man. I mean, he's someone I'd love to see at Arsenal one day, whenever that might be. Anyway, but Villa and Emery have our number. You know, Emery's got a tactical something over Arteta, it feels. And he knows how to do European knockouts. So
Which one would you
I don't
prefer,
like-
James? You're doing politician.
Both nasty, but if we go through, I prefer Villa because fundamentally PSG are just the better team, but not by a lot. I think Villa are great.
There's a lot of caveats with Villa, isn't there? Emery coming back here. He was already beating us in the semi-final before.
Oh,
Ollie Watkins
God,
will probably
yeah.
score, the guy that we tried to buy in January. There's so much that can
Oh, there's a
happen
lot
in
of
that,
storylines there.
Oh,
So I
the
think-
narratives.
When you look at PSG, you think that's clearly the better team. Like they look unbelievable going forward. You're right, Dembele didn't play here last time. Kvaratskhelia was not bought. I mean, how we let that one go, by the way. 63 million in January was a must for us.
And he plays everywhere, right, left,
Oh,
down
he's
the middle.
unbelievable. Absolutely,
What a player.
absolute baller.
What a player.
So I probably would prefer Villa, but it's going to be PSG. They look so good, man. You know, you can never write off Aston Villa because it's Champions League, and we've just spoke about what comebacks have been over the years. But I do fancy PSG to go through, and I think for the neutral, the best would probably be PSG Barcelona in terms of a final. But of course, we want to get there. So
Okay, I want to come to Dan for this question. I'm going to come to you with a separate question, James. Mikel Arteta. I know at times you've had your question marks.
Yep.
You've given him the criticisms when you feel like he deserves them. How big of a win would it be if we get through to Real Madrid? I just want to give it a slight talk on Mikel Arteta and the achievement he's done in the Champions League. I know we can talk about Premier League and some things you're frustrated about, but I want to give him some flowers from what he's got to right now, this stage. And then if he does do it's not really the outstanding or the miracle because we're 3-0 up, but getting through, how big of that would that be for him alone as a manager?
I
for
think
Arsenal?
individually it's right up there with, I mean, the best is obviously winning the FA Cup.
Yeah.
I don't think you can beat that when it's a trophy at the end of it.
Yeah.
But certainly in terms of big games and big moments, I think this will be right up there. People forget that we actually got through Manchester City and Chelsea to win that FA Cup, which, let's be real, no one gives us a chance for in those. So
That's true.
I think, that's probably as big of an achievement to win that as it is to get through against Real Madrid, because no one giving us a chance for that either. But at least we've got a squad that can compete with them now, whereas back then we didn't really. So I think his achievement is probably the best still to win and lift silverware.
But we haven't been in the Champions League for so long, apart from last
course.
season, getting to a quarter final. Now you're looking like we're on the cusp of a semis.
One foot in the semis.
It's progression from last season. It feels like
Yeah.
That's you got to say
Oh,
credit
of
to him.
course, man. Listen, he's done an unbelievable job to get us challenging. He's done a brilliant job to get us, if he does get us into the semi-final. But I'll always come back and say, am I convinced that you can win us something? And until the evidence suggests he's lifting something, I have to say I'm still questioning it. You know, I'd love him to win everything. I want to win a quadruple next year, right? But I'm realistic at the same time. And look, I'll say this: people, say eat humble pie if he wins something. If he wins a Champions League, build him a statue. I'll take a selfie next to it, eating some pie. No, real talk, I will. If that's who wins that Champions League, build him a statue. I'll eat a big cherry pie next to it and say, do you know what, I was wrong. I'd love to do that. Do you know
I'll
what I'm
provide you the pie. I'll be
saying?
there.
Yeah, you will, man. And I'll do it with Turkish and Curtis and troops and everyone. I'll get them all some pie.
Yes,
You know what I mean?
lovely.
So,
Right, I did say to you, James, that I was going to ask you a question separate to that. I mean, could be short, could be long on the fact that Real Madrid, what will they be trying to do? What do you think they'll be trying to do to claw back that 3-0 deficit? Is because Real Madrid fans might hate me saying this, but there's word of them paying off refs in the back of the days, having control of those sort of things. Shouldn't be, as a professional, person speaking, shouldn't
I wasn't
be saying
expecting that question.
Well, no, but I mean, they've got.
So what do you think, James? Are they paying the rest?
What do you
Well,
expect?
thanks,
I mean, you heard the word of the ultras doing stuff, to get them infused as they come into the stadium. Do you think is there a tactic that you think they'll really be looking at, or trying to claw back this 3-0 deficit? Is there something that stands out that might be something left field?
I don't think they'll do that much differently. I think they'll get Valverde into midfield because I don't think they'll have been shocked by how much Rice ran all over them. Actually, all of them did, Partey and Odegaard. Odegaard didn't have a great game, but he was still sort of, putting the work in there.
what do you think they'll do there, just quickly, James, in terms of right back then?
I think they're going to go for Vazquez just because
Right.
he's kind of a winger / fullback and he'll give them something on the outside. I think Valverde will come into midfield and they might, one of Tchouaméni or Modric. Thing is, you kind of want Modric's class on the ball, don't you? But I can imagine him going for more of a physical midfield. I can see him going Garcia at left back again because he's a bit more kind of marauding than Alaba. Not that I'm an expert on either, but I also think they'll get Bellingham higher up the pitch. Bellingham was so that Vinicius didn't have to put in the work. They made Bellingham come out to Saka and defend a 4-4-2. Now that's not that surprising. Arsenal defending a 4-4-2. That's not that strange. And also, it wasn't just about Vinicius' work. He does work. It's more that they wanted Vinicius and Mbappe to be ready on the counter. But the alternative is you make Vinicius drop back and you get Bellingham high up the pitch. I think in this game they'll press high and they'll keep Bellingham higher up naturally because he's a little bit more of a presence up. He's played as a false nine for them, hasn't he? But that movement in behind, the runs in behind, he's got that physical kind of presence as well, a little bit more. And I think they'll have someone off Mbappe and almost kind of get their forwards, including Bellingham, a little bit closer together. I'm no expert. I haven't watched Madrid much this season, but they have used Bellingham in that way before, and I think he'll get in some dangerous areas for them.
Okay, we are coming to the close of the preview. I have to get your score predictions. I will read out the stats to give everyone the full context of this whole game. Before I do that, I did actually read that Real Madrid tried to get that Alvarez, that team they played yesterday, they beat. They tried to get that moved, that game.
Yeah. See that Mbappe challenge?
Yes, awful challenge.
Nasty
A definite red card. But the Real Madrid they inquired about moving that game to give them a little bit extra breather for the Champions League game at the Bernabeu, but they got declined, so thank God for that. But they are really, really trying everything they can to get that extra, any percent, I guess, to try and claw back that lead. So lucky that got declined, and that game is still on Wednesday at the Bernabeu. Let me read these final stats, closing stats, and we'll get your score predictions. Real Madrid defeat at Emirates Stadium was the 5th time that they league. Oh, that's weird. Wrong. Sorry, written wrongly. They league by 3+ goals while they've been eliminated in the second leg in the 3 of the previous 4 occasions. The exception being against Derby County in the last 16 in 1975-76 season, winning 6-5 on aggregate after a 4-1 deficit in the first leg.
Wow.
So that's the last time they ever done that long ago. So 1975 against Derby County, crazy in the European competition. And then in the first leg of this tie, Miles Lewis-Skelly became just the 3rd English teenager to assist a goal in the UEFA Champions League knockout stage match. All 3 of those have been done while playing for Arsenal. Yeah, so that is Theo Walcott in 2008 versus Milan. Milan and Liverpool, and Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain in 2012 against Milan as well, and now Miles Lewis-Skelly in 2025 against Real Madrid. So the youngest players in Champions League history to get an assist, or teenagers, were all Arsenal players. I think that is phenomenal.
incredible.
That is a mad stat.
Part of our DNA, I suppose.
Part of our DNA. Now, we will be doing a Predicts 11 video. We'll be coming out on the channel, so make sure you look out for that. We'll be discussing about Thomas Partey, injury or not, is he fit, Ben White and all that. So look out for that. But boys, Predictions. How do you think this game's going to go? Give me the score prediction, James.
I'm flying, so I said on forever Arsenal 2-1 defeat, but we'll go through.
Fair. Pots.
Yeah, listen, I think we're going to lose the game, but not the tie. And I'm also going with 2-1 to Madrid.
Shameless, Cecil. Go on, do it. Do it. Do it. Believe in your team. Do it. We're going to win at the Bernabeu. It's going to be
To where?
Santiago Bernabeu, whatever
It might be. You might be right.
I'm going to go 2-1 Arsenal. I went 2-1 here, didn't I? Yeah, 2-1 Arsenal. And hopefully it ends up being 3-0 again to Arsenal.
So hope so.
Yeah, that is it for the
Yeah,
preview.
real.
Let us know your score
6-0
predictions.
on aggregate, bloody hell. Yeah.
6-0 aggregate will be unbelievable. I'm going to go 2-1 Arsenal. Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. It's a massive, massive game. As I'm sure you're all aware, the season is really holding on to this fixture. Even though we're 3-0 up, everyone's looking forward to this game. Let's hope Arsenal get the job done. Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. And again, a big thanks to Match Bingo for sponsoring this preview. We'll see you again soon. Take care.